Hi, this short video is meant to provide to the public some unbiased information to help people who are facing foreclosure. If if someone has not faced foreclosure, they probably don't understand how stressful, how terrifying this can be for someone. There's a lot at stake, and frankly, as you talk to people about different possible answers to it, um, the answers you get are often tailored to the person you're talking to. If you're if you're talking to a hammer salesman, a lot of times they think the hammer is the best solution for you. If you're talking to a screwdriver salesman, well, you need a screwdriver. What you really need to do is what's best for you and the people who are important to you. This presentation is meant to provide you some information. You're welcome to share this with people you care about and people you trust. You're welcome to research it. You're more than welcome to talk to me. I'm happy to help. Um, but I just want to open up your eyes to some things that are available. And so I want to start with you. Okay. So when I talk to people who are facing foreclosure, they have different priorities, and that should be what actually guides your decision. So for some people, their main priority is to keep things the way they have been. After all, where you're living is sometimes related to where you're working. It's where some family members may be going to school. It's not trivial. You may have friends and church members in the area where you're living. So the prospect of moving may be challenging. Um, there's privacy. Some people don't want all of their friends and family to know that they are about to lose their home. That's something that they just don't want to advertise to the world. That's very understandable. Um, a person's credit is at risk in a foreclosure. So we won't go into all the details here, but foreclosure is an event that can affect somebody's ability to buy things on credit for many years and can have it's not the end of the world, but it can have a serious impact on many aspects of life. In a foreclosure, you can lose a lot of money, and this can have a bearing on many things. For example, ironically, where are you going to live next? Um, how are you going to pay other debts? There's so much money that can be lost when losing a house that it can even affect someone's long-term plans for retirement. Um, Something that doesn't often get talked about in foreclosure is our sanity. Um, it can be extremely harrowing to go through this process. It can actually affect someone's health, and it can't go on forever. People have different tolerances for it, so it's important to decide how important that is. The other thing that is paramount is shelter. So when a individual or the people that they're living with are faced with potentially living on the street or not having anywhere to go, that is serious. And it can be not just a matter of the uncertainty, but there can even be medical issues that are dependent on living in a certain location. Uh, there's a lot at stake there. So as we talk about these issues, please think about what's important to you and what you actually can do. Um, the first tip that I want to give, which not everyone understands this, but it's so important for you to talk to the people who are trying to foreclose on you. Okay, don't hide. It can be scary, it can be intimidating. I mean, after all, this is a multi-million dollar corporation. Sometimes it is hiring attorneys to take away somebody's house. Yes, that is very intimidating, but they are often required to talk to you. Now, in some cases, they will not talk to the borrower. And there's more than one way that someone can foreclose on a homeowner. So sometimes it can be the homeowners association. There are other entities that can do the foreclosing. A lot of times it's the mortgage lender. Okay, and so a lot of this is going to be geared to that, but a lot of the same principles apply in everything we're talking about here. If someone is foreclosing on you, they have an attorney. And even if they are not talking to you, their attorney should be able to talk to you. And there's a way for you to find that out. You should have received a notice of this foreclosure auction that is coming up. In Texas, it is on the first Tuesday of the month. That's when this happens. And they should be able to tell you anything you want to know, even if the lender or the foreclosing party is not talking to you at this time. Okay. So that's tip number one. Please communicate with the people who are trying to foreclose on you. If you can't talk to them, you can ask someone to talk to them on your behalf, or you can talk to them with someone else on the phone to make sure that you're not getting railroaded, that someone's not just treating you like a doormat. Okay. The other thing that's so important is don't procrastinate. The closer you come to the time of the foreclosure auction, the fewer options you will have to do what you actually want or need to do. The better thing to do is, if there's still months in advance, try to do what you can to find a solution to the problem. That will be the best way to approach this, okay? It's not too late. Don't wait. Never say it's too late, but I just want you to know that sooner is better. All right, so these are some of the options we're going to talk about today. There are 10 here. This is not a complete list, but this gives you an idea of what is out there. And I'll just talk about these briefly, and then we'll talk about them in depth, a little bit more depth, okay? Co-living, that's where you stay in your house, but you can actually have someone boarding with you and paying rent, okay? So you get to stay in your house, and someone else is helping with your overall financial situation so you don't get behind. Or if you need to stay caught up, it's an additional source. So this is a way to take a resource you have and leveraging it for your own finances, okay? Another way is to become a landlord, where you actually move out temporarily and somebody else who can make payments for you is moving into the house and keeping it current. That's another option. Another option is available through the federal court system. This is called bankruptcy. This is something you need to be very careful about this, and you need to be well informed before you do it. It's advisable that you talk to an attorney before you approach this, okay? We'll talk about this in a moment. Forbearance is where you make an agreement with a lender to give you a quote unquote vacation for a period of time where they are not going to go after you for not making payments. What's important to understand about this is that they will often expect payment in full at the end of this period, and we'll talk about what that means. A loan modification is where you make an arrangement with your lender to basically change the terms. So if you're behind, the arrears, what you owe can be quote unquote thrown back into the loan, and there might be another payment schedule that is proposed, okay? That's what a loan modification is. Reinstatement is where the amount that is behind, somebody catches it up. And if you are not able to do that, other people can do that for you, okay? There are two ways of doing this, and we'll talk about two of them in this presentation today, okay? Another option is deed in lieu, okay? Deed in lieu of foreclosure. This is where instead of forcing the lender to foreclose on you, you say, here's my house. I would like to give you my house, and I would like you not to put a foreclosure on my record. Believe it or not, that's actually harder than it sounds. And sometimes a lender will not agree to that for a number of reasons. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Another option is payoff. That is usually done when a house is sold. Okay, there are several flavors of doing this, and we'll talk about those. Okay, but basically, if someone comes and says, "I'll buy your house," they will usually bring enough money to make the other lender go away, and your house no longer becomes your problem, and the foreclosure doesn't go on your record. A short sale is a special case of this where the house is upside down, where you can't sell the house for enough to cover the loan and pay off the loan. Some people feel trapped by this. There's no reason to feel trapped. There is a way to take care of that. Okay. So let's talk about these in more detail now. Okay. Here are two basic things that need to be solved no matter what you do. Okay. Number one is catching up. Okay. If someone is behind and another party is foreclosing on them, they want everything to be paid up or addressed. They want everything that's behind to be, we want a plan or we want it paid off. And if you don't do this, then our solution is we're going to foreclose on you. Okay. That is the first problem that needs to be resolved. However, that is taken care of, that has to be dealt with. The other issue is staying caught up. And so that means that there has to be a viable plan going forward to make sure that all of the payments can be made. Okay. It's important, whatever plan you do, to be realistic about, can you do this? There are things that we want to do, and then you have to take an honest assessment of, can you do this? If someone is not honest with themselves about whether they can actually do the things that they want to do, it's actually a threat to them. They could actually find themselves losing their house in circumstances that they did not want. It's better to do things on your terms, or if it's a family member, a friend, to do it on terms that are in their best interest, and to know the full plan going forward. It's something that they're comfortable with. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the first two options today. Co-living, where you rent out a home room in your house. Okay. There are actually platforms that are available to do this. Not everyone is aware of this. You can actually advertise on one of these platforms and say, I'm looking for a roommate. You can vet your roommates, and they can live in a room in your house. Okay. I have known people who have done this, and some people are very happy about it. For other people, it can be very stressful. It's important to take into account whether there are vulnerable people in your household who maybe it would be awkward for them to have someone else in the house. Okay. There are people who give only a room and expect the other person to buy their own groceries. Some people have a room and board kind of arrangement where they're almost living like part of the family. Okay. So there are different solutions to this. I'm going to say something about this in a moment after talking about being a landlord. Okay. When you move out, you can let someone else live in your house. There are various ways of doing this. You can do this yourself. You can get a real estate agent to help you do this. You can also advertise on some other platform saying, I'm looking for somebody to rent my house. Okay. What's important for both of these solutions is that you have some legal protections for yourself if you need to get this person out of the house. Okay. Because if someone moves in and they don't want to move out, but you need them to move out, that can become a real nightmare. Okay. So just make sure you have the correct protections. What this can do is, if you are proactive enough in recognizing this need, without getting a new job or anything else, you can find a new way to augment your income and hopefully to change the financial situation so that you can keep making payments going forward. Because even if you can get it caught up, or if you can find a way to push the auction off into the future, if there's no plan for making the payments going forward, it doesn't really help you. It's just making it actually worse in the end, because there's a higher payment. You're actually losing money by doing that. Okay. The other option that we talked about a few moments ago is bankruptcy. Again, I am not an attorney, and I do not claim to give legal advice to anyone. But I do know people who have pursued this, and there might be some things that you want to know and that you can ask about. Okay, so for a typical consumer, there's Chapter 7 and there's Chapter 13. Chapter 7 is where you agree to liquidate some assets. That means you're selling them off. With Chapter 13, you agree on basically a payment plan with your creditors. Okay, it's usually a charge of about a little over $300 to file. Chapter 7 is a little bit more expensive than Chapter 13, and it can be complicated. You technically could do this on your own. You probably want to hire an attorney to take you through that process. You will need to become educated in the process before you file. They will actually want you to make sure that you understand what you're doing, because bankruptcy has some ramifications. So first of all, it, like foreclosure, has very significant ramifications to somebody's credit. Okay, it can stay on your credit for a while. There is a fully discharged bankruptcy. If someone does not complete that process, the bankruptcy will be dismissed. Okay, so if you do file bankruptcy, this will the laws are such that someone is required, a creditor is required to hold off on the auction. So it will postpone it. The bankruptcy protection will not last forever. And they will want to know, what are your next steps? What are you going to do about this? Okay. So again, please contact an attorney if you do decide to approach this. Okay. Another one we talked about is something called forbearance, which means that the lender forbears from pursuing you for the arrears, the back payments on your property, on your payments, for a certain period of time. This was originally meant to be for a very short period of time. Like if someone has a hiccup one month, they call up the lender and say, can you please give me a break for a month or two so that I can kind of get back on my feet, and I'll pay you everything that you're owed when it comes back, when the forbearance period ends. During COVID, this became a big deal because people lost their job by the millions. And so these forbearance programs, they were turned out for like half a year or an entire year. Now think about this. If someone had lost their income for any reason, and then they needed 6 months to get caught up, or 6 months to find a new job, at the end of that 6-month period of time, do you think they'll have enough money to pay everything that they were owed before, everything that they owed before, plus everything that they were supposed to have paid in the meantime? Okay. The answer to that is almost always no. And I have actually known people who have been forced into foreclosure because they went into one of these forbearance programs. It was marketed as a customer relief program. It has nothing to do with customer relief. It's actually for the benefit of the lender. Okay, so it's important to have a conversation with your lender about what this actually means, and to understand what you're getting yourself into when this happens. Okay. Let's talk about a loan modification. Okay, a loan modification is where the terms of the loan are changed. I regularly talk to people who are behind in their payments by $50,000. That's not pocket change for most of us. That's not pocket change for anyone I know. um, so, what are we going to do about this? Well, one of the things that can be done is this can be thrown back into the loan, is the word that is often used. They either create a new loan uh, with terms where there's some interest rate on this. If it's an FHA loan, there are many people with FHA loans now in foreclosure. Sometimes they will agree to create a loan that will be paid off whenever the house is sold. So these arrears don't go away. They just are waiting for the time that the house is sold. And so that will be subtracted from the price that someone gets when the house is sold. And it's just, there will be a day of reckoning when that happens, okay? Usually there is a 3-month trial period for this, and then they'll decide what the final terms of the loan are. If someone fails to make payments during this 3-month trial period, then the loan modification process fails, and the lender will then go into their next option, which previously very well might have been foreclosure. I'll tell you, many lenders love to do for these loan modifications because it actually makes them money. So I've talked to people where not everyone has this, but they had a $5,000 a month loan. They were presented with a $4,000 a month loan. How did this happen? Well, they made the loan, they stretched it over 40 years, not 30 years, but 40 years. Of that $4,000 a month that this person was expected to pay, how much of it do you think was going towards their principal? It was just over $100 a month. This person literally would do better for themselves by going out and finding a place to rent. Okay, they could, in the same neighborhood, they could have found a similar house that would have been fine for their situation. Okay, and the rent was actually less than this. Okay, now I have talked to people where under no circumstances should they be moving. Okay, it's very important for them to stay in the house. If you look at the loan modification and it's something that can be done, this could be a good solution for some people. Okay, um, but be sure to look at it with your eyes wide open and make sure that you understand what the long-term effect is going to be. Can you afford the payments going forward? Will it meet your long-term financial objectives? So these are important considerations, okay? Another one that we talked about is reinstatement. That's where somehow you pay up everything that is owed, and then your lender stops growling, and or if it's the HOA, for example, everything is paid off, and they stop bothering you, and you just go back to life as normal, making your payments again. Okay, so this is something that some people actually do. So there is no institutional lender when someone is already behind in their payments who will actually lend somebody money so that they can catch up on their loan. Okay. However, there are some people who make arrangements with family members or with friends who trust each other, and they will get some amount of money from them, and they make an agreement between themselves about how the other person will be paid back. Okay. As you can imagine, it's important to make those payments because there's a possibility that a personal relationship could be damaged if this goes wrong, right? But actually, this is more common among some parts of our population than you would think, okay? But if this can be done, just to reinstate the loan, and then however you deal with it between other people, that's your business. But that's all they care about. The lender wants their money now. And if you can do that, that's fine. Okay. Deed in lieu of foreclosure. This is where you basically say to the lender, please take back my house. I would like you to forgive my loan. I would very much like you not to foreclose on me. Um, this is better for a person's credit than a foreclosure. So it is still an impact on credit. Um, One of the possible results of this is that someone could be completely forfeiting all of their equity. Okay. So this could be hundreds of thousands of dollars for some people. And that's non-trivial. Okay. Uh, there are situations where a lender may not want to do this. So if there are multiple liens on the property, they may choose not to do this. They may not want this to happen. Also, it's not always as easy as just calling them up and saying, yeah, let me give you the house. There can be a process involved, and sometimes they frankly don't want your house. They will want to see it put on the market, and they will give some time to allow this to happen. Okay. So there are different ways of going about this, depending on the lender. Okay, let's talk about the payoff. This is where the lender gets what they want. It makes them go away permanently. So there's a certain amount of money they're owed in total for the house. If they can receive all of this, then they permanently get out of the way. They're not in the picture anymore. Okay. If you can sell the house for an amount that covers all the debt, that will satisfy the loan. What I would suggest here is, different people are in different situations. If you can have enough time in advance to sell the house in what is called a traditional manner, where someone who buys the house is going to live in it themselves, that is a way to get the most that you can for the house and the way to increase your likelihood of getting some money when you close on the house. Okay. This will maximize your return when you sell the house. That's because what will happen is people will look at other houses on the market that are similar. They will compare your house to that. And if other people are selling their house for this much and it's similar, then you should be able to sell your house for a similar amount. If you get closer to the end of the pre-foreclosure period, where it's pushing up against the foreclosure auction, you will need to sell your house very quickly. Okay. And in that case, the people who will be buying your house may not be someone who has to apply for a loan and wait 30 days to get approved, and then it might get approved, might not get approved after all. What you will need is someone who can buy with cash. This might be someone who live in it themselves. Usually this is an investor. An investor is someone who's not going to live in the house themselves. They're going to buy it at a discount so that they can make money. So if similar houses are at this level, they won't buy it at this level. They can't. They would lose money. They have to buy it at this level in order for it to make sense for them. What you should know about this is if they're going to do this for you, you should be able to expect some things from them. So they should be able to perform. They should be able to prove that they have enough money to do it. You might even ask them to help with some things like helping you move, or when they buy the house, can you live in the house for a certain period of time so that you can get things together to prepare for the next stages so you have a new place to live. So this kind of buyer may have some other options that would not be possible as easily with someone who's going to live in the house themselves. You should do what's best for you, okay? And again, the sooner you can decide what is best for you, the better chances you will have of making sure that the results are what you want, okay? Sometimes when someone is trying to sell the house, the amount of debt on the house actually exceeds what they can sell the house for. In a case like this, some people throw up their hands and say, there's nothing I can do. I'm doomed. I'm going to go into foreclosure. That is not necessary. There is something called a short sale, which is where the lender negotiates to come down on the amount of money that they are willing to settle for. They actually forgive some of the loan, and then uh, it doesn't foreclose. Okay, this is a softer impact on someone's credit than a foreclosure. It's generally comparable to a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Okay, what it does is it puts the control in your hands. It makes it so that you have control over the terms. Sometimes, not always, and this is something that cannot be promised, but a lender will give an allowance for moving if someone is still in the house. Okay, so it's a relocation assistance package. And different types of loans have different amounts of assistance that they can offer. Sometimes it's not possible. Okay, and so I just want that to be understood. Um, for some families, this is important, and this is true of any of these. Even if the person who owned the house has passed away, so we're not talking about saving somebody's credit because it really doesn't matter anymore. Sometimes people just want the dignity of somebody's legacy not to be hampered by the feeling that the bank stole back their house, right? They want the house to be sold to somebody else who will take good care of it and will do a good job of fixing it up. I mean, sometimes a house is in disrepair and it's not meaningful to ask somebody who's already behind in their payments to fix it up. In fact, when someone is behind in their payments, a lot of times they're unable to fix the house as repairs are required. And at the same time, even if they were to make an insurance claim, not infrequently the lender will say, "Oh, you got insurance money for this? Well, you're behind on your payments, so thank you very much. We'll take this money to pay ourselves off. And it's up to you to fix your house on your own." So that is something that people sometimes run up against. Just want to make everyone aware that there are forces in our society that you can choose from that can help you find a solution that is best for you. Here's another way of getting reinstatement. This is where another party who is buying your house will reinstate the loan for you. Okay, so they'll buy the house and their down payment will be to pay off the loan, or not pay off the loan, but pay off the reinstatement, so that the loan the lender is no longer going to be coming after you. That loan will be kept in place, and then they will create a loan where they're basically in charge of paying you so that the other loan can be paid off. Okay, there is a loan servicer that should be charged with making sure that you don't have to deal with that money. Okay, it's not like you're collecting money from them at the end of the month and knocking on their door. It's not like being a landlord where you're fixing clogged toilets or broken AC. You are literally a lender in this case. You can even get money that comes to you, that shows up in your account every month, and you just see that it happens there. If they do not make their payments, then you would be in a situation where you would have to foreclose on them. Okay, and this would be important because the other lender, the original lender, is expecting to receive their money at the same payment schedule as before. They want to be paid every month. Okay, a benefit of this is not only that you might make some money for yourself, but it will actually rehabilitate somebody's credit. So lo and behold, it's not just where you sold the house and you were on a bad note with that loan. It actually goes in crescendo as time goes on. The loan looks better and better, and the credit history looks better and better. So this is completely legal. It just needs to be set up correctly so that your interests are taken care of properly. So now these are the questions, after looking at all this, these are questions that only you can answer. Would you rather keep your home or would you rather sell it? Sometimes people want to be done with it and they want to move on. For some people, it's important that they stay in their house. Of course, the question then is, can you actually do what you want to do? Do you actually have enough time to do it? Do you have the resources to do it? These are things that only you can answer. Who will be impacted by your decision? Okay, it may not affect just you. How much time is on your side? Would it be helpful to you if you could just buy yourself a little bit of time? If you could do something that would postpone the auction, would that be helpful? Okay. How much will it cost you to do any of these solutions? That's something that you should figure out for yourself as well. Sometimes people are bringing money to you. Sometimes you're actually expected to spend money yourself. Okay. And so that's what you need to decide. How much money do you need to receive yourself? And the answer to this will be different for many people. You might need enough money just so that you can get your next place. That might be important to you. Okay. You might be wanting to preserve your retirement. Okay. You don't want to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity in your house. So these are things that you need to decide as well. And then also, do you have family or friends who can help? So thank you for listening to this. I hope that this has been helpful to you. This has been strictly unbiased information. Feel free to research this on your own. You can research any of these terms on the internet. You can talk to professionals who might know something about this. I am more than happy to talk to you about any of these solutions and to give you unbiased answers and to your questions about where you might want to turn next. I do not charge for this service, and I have helped people many times in the past without an expectation of compensation for that. So please feel free to reach out to me if you'd like, and I hope that this turns out as good as it can for you and the people who are important in your life. Best wishes to you, and thank you for watching. My name is Michael Lund. Thank you.